What's up, everybody? Big Cop Diesel coming at you, and I wanted to do a follow-up video on the video that I made about the accidental discharge over at the range in Westland. As I stated in that video, I was making some assumptions because I didn't have all the facts at that time, and I've now found out sort of the tea. So the individual who I stated was a Flint police officer. Turns out that they are a retired Flint police officer, not an active duty police officer. And the accidental discharge did not occur while he was reholstering, which is typically the case. It actually happened while unholstering. Now, you might ask yourself, well, how the hell does that happen? Well, it turns out that this individual was using a Serpa holster, and I have mentioned in videos before that any instructor worth their salt won't even allow a Serpa holster on their range. Now, I don't know if this individual was training as part of a group or if he was just on his own. I wasn't able to get that information, but it was a Serpa holster. The round entered hit just below the hip on the thigh, traveled under the skin of the thigh and exited just above the kneecap. I was told that the individual actually didn't even bleed. So it basically turned out to be a flesh wound. The bullet did not enter the muscle of the leg, nor did it strike and shatter the femur, which sometimes happens with these. And it also did not strike the femoral artery, because if it had, we'd probably be talking about this in a little bit different light. So basically, other than a bruised ego and some superficial pain, the person's going to be okay. But again, guys, just this, know your gear, and talk to people. Anybody that is a range person that goes to the range regularly, that's in the space, just like anything else, you're going to hear things, right? Right now, the big thing is on the SIG P320 that is firing by itself. And if you're not a gun person, or you don't go to the range that often, you don't mix in those circles, you might be completely oblivious to the fact that SIG is having a problem with that firearm right now. In fact, the Air Force, which almost exclusively carries those firearms, has pulled them from service. And again, so I mean, you don't have to be a gun nut or any of that kind of stuff, but again, if you are using a gun for personal defense, if you're using a gun for your job, just kind of dip into the space a little bit so you can kind of hear what's going on, and that could be chat groups, that could be YouTube channels, that kind of stuff. So anyways, enough about that. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the stabbing up in Traverse City that happened over a week ago. Wanted to wait a little bit to make sure that I had all the facts, and kind of let everything calm down a little bit. So a couple things I want to talk about on that. When I first heard the story that 11 people were stabbed, the first thing in my mind was, why is nobody carrying a firearm? It turns out that the stabbing was stopped by a concealed carrier, and actually was able to stop the stabbing without having to shoot the bad guy. He was able just to hold him at gunpoint, while some other bystanders helped restrain him, and then they held him until the police got there. So kudos for everybody involved. If you're just now hearing about this story, I do find it kind of interesting that the media outlets seem to be slanting anti-gun, and what I mean by that is, like I just stated, it took a concealed carrier who was willing to act to stop further bloodshed. However, most news outlets glossed that over and just stated something to the effect of, bystanders were able to stop the guy and hold him. Well, you're not going to stop a guy who's actively stabbing people with gentle, kind words and pleases and all that. It took that guy who realized that if he didn't stop, he wasn't going to make it. And there's no two ways about it. You know, once that guy was staring down the barrel of a firearm, and they said he's mentally ill, but he ain't that crazy. He was sane enough to understand that if he didn't stop, he wasn't going to make it out of there. So kudos to Mr. Perry, I believe his name is, who happens to be a veteran, a Marine veteran. And I believe in the news account, one of the news accounts was he had actually just been to the range and had, been at the range target shooting or whatever, and stopped at Walmart. So kudos to him. Kudos to everybody that helped. I mean, just because the other people were not armed, they did help restrain the guy and hold him until the police got there. But yet another example of a concealed carrier, a lawfully licensed and armed concealed carrier, stepping up to the plate. And he didn't have to. And it's one thing you guys got to remember. As concealed carriers, we have no duty to respond. If you're an off-duty police officer, that's a different story. No matter where you're at, what you're doing, if you observe a crime as a police officer, it's your duty to intervene. As civilians, we do not have that duty. We are not expected by the law to intervene in anything. Now, does that mean we have to stand by and watch old people get stabbed? Absolutely not. Doesn't mean we have to stand by and watch anybody be victimized, but we still have the option of whether we're going to put ourselves in harm's way to protect another person. So just keep that in mind. Excuse me. So the other thing is I wanted to kind of mention about there is an active terrorist threat from Iran against American and British citizens, both here in our country and abroad. Now, the threat is generally made towards U.S. officials or any ex-military that has served overseas in the Middle East, most specifically during GWOT, or the Global War on Terrorism. The threat, as I understand it, is not against just the everyday citizen. However, you still need to be vigilant, and you still need to be paying attention to your surroundings, because you could be out to dinner sitting next to a guy or a gal that might be a target unbeknownst to you. The family sitting the 2 tables down could be one of the individuals that are identified in this threat, and you could definitely get hit in the crossfire. So just keep that stuff in mind, guys. Big thing is for my training that's coming up, I do have a training calendar. I'm working on it. I got my book is right there, my calendar, so I've got some dates, some tentative dates ready to go, so I will be posting those on social media. They will also be in my calendar on my website. It's a little wonky. It's my Google Calendar that I've linked to the website. So, excuse me. So when you're looking at the calendar on the website and you go to a particular month, if there's something going on a particular day of the month, you'll see a time. You have to click the time and it'll open what the event is. It'll tell you what the event is, where it is, what time it is, all that. I am also going to put all of my classes in Facebook Events Manager, so I'll create a Facebook event for it as well. And there's one other outlet that I can't think of right now. And then I will also post on Facebook itself, just in a post, just the font, dates of the upcoming classes. Now, guys, remember, these dates and stuff are all tentative. They are all subject to change. I will make sure that I let you guys know and what would cause it to change. So if I tell the range that I need one of the ranges for 4 hours on a particular day, they're going to hold it for me. But if about a week out from the class, if I don't have enough people to run a class, I'll cancel it and then let the range know, because they need to make their money, right? So I'm not going to hold up a range, when I only have 2 people that sign up. And that happens sometimes, and I get it. And it's no sweat off my back. I just like to have everybody signed up at least a week out. Obviously, I'll let stragglers come in, but if I have enough bodies signed up a week out, then we're going to run the class. That's not an issue. But if I only have a couple, 2, 3 people that sign up for a class, it's just not financially viable for me to do that, because I do have to pay to rent the range. I have to have the insurance and all that kind of stuff. So it has to make sense. I love what I do, but I can't do it for free, as you all I'm sure could appreciate. So I do appreciate you guys' support for coming out to the classes. Please, please, please spread the word about my classes. Also, I'm really trying to grow my Southeast Michigan Security Professionals Facebook page. That page is open to anybody, and they don't have to be in Southeast Michigan. They could be in Canada for all I care. But I am trying to grow that page for security professionals. It's my attempt to bring people together so we can share ideas. And my goal is to really uplift the security, the image. As you guys know, if you've worked security for any length of time, we have a very, very bad image, and it's our fault. We have nobody to blame but ourselves, because this industry doesn't have a high, there's not a high bar of entry. We're not getting fingerprinted and background checked and all this kind of stuff for most of these jobs. So we do it to ourselves, but my goal is to help elevate us, help elevate our image in the eyes of the public and in law enforcement, right? I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a police officer, and we were talking about the fact that a security guard can either help the police or hinder the police. And a lot of times security guards hinder the police, and that's why when they get on the scene, they pretty much just shoo you aside, because you're not a help. So the goal here is just to elevate our profession, motivate people to seek out training. Don't rely on your company to train you. If you are going to operate with the bare minimum to no training that the company either offers or doesn't offer, you're setting yourself up for failure. Even when I was a corrections officer for the state of Michigan, and the state paid a lot of money to train me. They spent a lot of money on me over the years for the training. I still went outside of the DLC for further training for things that I felt that would make me better at my job that they didn't offer. So don't be afraid to step out there. And whether you're going to stay in the security space or you're using security as a stepping stone because you are going to an academy of some kind, it's never going to hurt you to get more training. So if you're watching this and you're saying to yourself, man, I could use more training, well, you've come to the right place. I offer a mini security academy, which is 8 hours, and then I offer a 16-hour security academy, as well as firearms training, that some of which is included in both of those academies that I talked about, and it's also offered as a standalone training. So if that's something you'd be interested in, check me out. You can message me on Facebook at Cobb Risk Management, on my page there. You can also message me on my website, which is www.cobbriskmanagement.com, or www.crmtactical.com. I think that second one is right. I just made some changes, so the second one might not be right. Or you can just message me here. But anyways, so be on the lookout for that calendar. I should have that out here by the end of this coming week. And obviously, the other thing, guys, is if I've been talking to you, whether you message me, text me, hit me up on Facebook Messenger, just mind you that it's hard to keep all that stuff together. I don't want to miss anybody. So if we have talked in any capacity about you attending training, whether you have before or not, please, please, please shoot me an email. Or message me on Facebook. I'm trying to figure out a way, because I'm not a genius at this stuff, this social media stuff. I'm trying to figure it out. But I'm trying to figure out a way to kind of funnel everybody into one area so I don't miss anybody, because I got people contacting me on Instagram, I got people contacting me on Facebook Messenger, I've got people texting me, and the conversation will go like, hey, when is your next training? And I'll be like, oh, it's on this date, and they'll be like, okay, let me know. Well, I may not let you know, and it's not on purpose. It's just it's hard to remember. I talked to three people 3 months apart about the thing, and then I messaged. So if you don't want to miss out, please, 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 the best way is to send me your email address, and then I will add you to my email list. I don't email very often, so you don't have to worry about getting spammed. I'm not going to sell your information anywhere, but that way it's just so much easier that when I put out an email blast about an upcoming class or anything, it just goes to my list. That way I don't have to remember, oh, I talked to Johnny on this day and he wanted to go to class. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. If you truly don't want to miss anything, give me your email address. I'll add you to my list, and then that way you'll get emails that are going to talk about upcoming training and other stuff like that. So I think that's it for today. Guys, stay safe, keep your head on a swivel, and we'll be talking soon. Peace.